Have you ever been watching a movie and found yourself, well, rooting for the bad guy? Today, we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating characters in all of fiction, the rule breaker, the scoundrel, the flawed protagonist that we just can't seem to get enough of.
It's a weird feeling, right? You're watching a story unfold, and you suddenly realize you're on the side of someone who does some pretty terrible things. Let's be honest, they're not exactly a good person. And that feeling gets to the very heart of a really interesting question about how we connect with stories.
I mean, just think about it for a second. We're talking about characters like Walter White, a high school teacher who becomes a meth kingpin. Or Han Solo, the charming smuggler who's only in it for the money, at first. You've got Severus Snape, Captain Jack Sparrow, Loki, the list goes on and on. These people are miles away from perfect. They break the law, they hurt people, and yet we're absolutely hooked. So what is the deal?
Well, it turns out there's actually a name for these kinds of characters, and it's not just about a villain who gets to be the main character. No, it's a very specific kind of archetype, one with its own special kind of magnetic appeal.
According to Fiction Atlas Press, an anti-hero is the main character. You know, the person whose story we're actually following. But they just don't have those typical heroic qualities. They might be cynical or selfish or even pretty ruthless, but they are still the star of the show.
Okay, to really get a grip on this, let's dive into a fantastic literary example. I want you to meet a guy named Solanus, a character created by author K.G. Parker. This guy is the absolute poster child for the morally questionable but completely brilliant individual.
Get this. This is literally the opening line from one of his stories. And wow, it just hits you like a ton of bricks, doesn't it? In one breath, he claims to have made an impossible scientific breakthrough and then casually confesses to murder. That incredible, shocking contrast, that is the essence of the anti-hero.
And this list just says it all, really. The guy is a certified genius, a philosopher, an alchemist, an artist, but he uses that exact same brilliance to be a con man, a forger, and a thief. He's this walking contradiction, celebrated by some for his genius and wanted by the law, sometimes at the very same time.
And this quote right here, this is his entire philosophy in a nutshell. For Solanus, the world isn't about good versus evil. It's about who's smart enough to work the angles. He truly believes that anything and anyone, from regular people to demons, even gods, can be tricked if you just take the time to figure them out. His power isn't virtue, it's pure intellectual ruthlessness.
All right, now let's switch gears and look at a totally different kind of anti-hero. If Solanus is this flashy, brilliant scoundrel, then Felix Castor from the Mike Carey novels is pretty much his opposite, a dark, gritty, downtrodden guy doing a dirty job in the shadows.
So picture this. Felix lives in a world where everyone knows ghosts are real, and it's his job to deal with them, but he is no shining knight in armor. He's a man who's actively trying to run away from this calling, especially after an exorcism went horribly wrong and left him with some serious psychological baggage. The guy's broke, he's exhausted, and he just wants a way out.
And when you put him side by side with a classic hero, the difference couldn't be more clear. A typical hero is noble and virtuous. Felix is poor and struggling. Instead of a clever joke, you get a grim, snarky comment from a man who's haunted by every mistake he's ever made. His failures have real, lasting consequences, and that makes him feel incredibly, sometimes uncomfortably authentic.
Which brings us right back to that big question we started with. We've defined the anti-hero, we've met the flamboyant genius and the gritty exorcist. So why are we so drawn to these characters? What's the secret sauce?
Well, it really all boils down to complexity. You know, a hero who's always good, always right, can sometimes feel a little flat, maybe even boring. But an anti-hero, their flaws, their tough choices, their inner demons, that's the stuff that makes them feel human. Their imperfection is what makes them feel so real to us.
And if you dig a little deeper, they connect with us because, in them, we see a reflection of our own imperfections. They live and operate in these messy, morally gray worlds that, let's face it, feel a lot more like our own. And that not only makes their stories way more unpredictable, it also forces us to stop and think and challenge our own ideas of what being a hero really means.
You know, there's a tagline from a Fiction Atlas Press anthology that just puts it perfectly. It captures the whole idea. Sometimes you don't need a perfect angel. Sometimes you need the flawed, difficult person who actually knows their way around the darkness and can get the job done.
So, we're going to leave you with that to chew on. As these complicated, messy characters continue to take over our books and screens, it's worth asking yourself,
Who's your favorite anti-hero? And what does our collective fascination with them really say about how our own definition of a hero is changing?